The best quote that I remember of my grandpa was, we'd always ask him what his favorite beer was, and he'd always say, the one in my hand.
Nice.
So it didn't matter, it didn't matter what beer it was, as long as he had one in his hand, that was his favorite.
Welcome to TapThatAZ, the show where you get to meet the awesome people behind the best craft beverages across the state of Arizona. I'm your host, Eric Walters. In this episode, I sit down with Jared Dubina from Dubina Brewing Company. Jared's ancestors hail from the Czech Republic, a country who drinks more beer per capita than any other country in the world. If anybody's qualified to make beer, it's Jared. Let's tap into Dubina Brewing Company. All right, so I'm here for another episode. I'm with Jared Dubina. Jared, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, had to get my beer down.
Yeah, Jared's got a good lineup in front of me. Did I guess them all? Most of them.
Yeah, you got them all.
Yeah, just by smelling them. So my sensory senses. Is that right? Yeah, getting better. So yeah, man, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you coming in and drinking some beer.
Yeah. I told my wife, I'm like, all right, I'll be back. I have to go talk about beer, and she's like, and drink some beer. I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, that's part of the process, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So take me back to the beginning. Like your beginning of like making beer, because you've been making beer for a while, right?
Yeah. So my grandfather used to make beer, and my great grandfather owned 5 pubs in Chicago.
Nice.
It's how he survived the Great Depression. Because during that time, there was one thing people didn't want to give up, and that was drinking. So he got through the Great Depression. My grandfather started brewing beer and told me stories. And anyway, so I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And my cousins actually had brewed. And so I started just playing around with it. My first beers were awful. Right. And I came up with this genius idea to convince my parents that we should open a brewery. So my grandfather, one of my goals was to have my grandfather try my beer before, I wanted him to try it, and he ended up passing before I could ever give him a beer.
Yeah.
So, we pay homage to him with the beer you're drinking. It's called Grandpa's Pills.
Okay.
Kind of gave it a punny name. But it's kind of to contribute to him, because the best quote that I remember of my grandpa was, we'd always ask him what his favorite beer was, and he'd always say, the one in my hand.
Nice.
So it didn't matter, it didn't matter what beer it was, as long as he had one in his hand, that was his favorite.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So we ended up starting the brewery in 2014. And, it was completely family funded. We didn't take out loans. We didn't take out anything. We just got our family together and started it up. We had no idea what we were doing. Like back then, we thought we did when we opened.
Right, yeah.
And realized we had nothing. So it's been a complete learning curve. And it's awesome to see where we're at now, and just the family sticking together. And, that's what I appreciate most.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool too, because just in the name itself, it's named after your family.
Yeah.
Right. There's a few brewers. You got like McFate, but most of them have like a different type of name, Mother Road, Arizona Wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
But this and in the it's Czech, right?
Yeah.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was like the inspiration for the beers that you guys started with.
Yeah,
right?
definitely the Pilsner. We wanted to have. My philosophy is I'm willing to go and try anything. I don't want to hold back on an idea. But one of the things I really wanted to do is, my grandfather was so huge on history that I wanted to tie in the history of beer. And so the Czech Pilsner, while people may say it's bland, and I love that craft is really kind of embracing it now instead of kind of rejecting it as a craft beer. But we wanted to brew a Czech Pilsner. We wanted to be authentic. So, we use Czech Saaz hops. And
nice.
Yeah, so, and we just keep it real basic. And it's a recipe that, we got from the Czech Republic. So we wanted to be authentic in that way. So that was really one of our things that when we opened, that was our goal, is to make a good Pilsner, and pay tribute to our family with that. Besides that, everything else is like, it either has some sort of history, or it's, we're going for the sky, or, reach for the sky or whatever.
Something new.
Yeah, something new, something adventurous, and not holding back with ideas.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what you started with, right? I read an article about you did was it a cinnamon sourdough?
Yeah.
beer?
Yeah, that was
You
when
need
I
to
was
laugh about
hombrewing. Yeah, I had taken, I remember like Dogfish had done like something where they had taken, and I had read other things like styles that had actually taken bread, like real bread, and put that into the beer. And I was like,
Just
all right.
chucked it in the barrel or the
Into the secondary. So after it fermented, throwing it in there to give it some bready sort of. Anyway, so my idea was I love sourdough. I'm gonna throw a bunch of sourdough, and I'm gonna do some cinnamon and some maple, and I'm gonna throw all this in there, and no idea what was gonna happen. And I'll be honest, like I don't think that was the best beer that I've ever made.
Right.
But one of my homebrewing days was I loved breakfast so much. That I wanted a beer that just tasted like breakfast. Right. And I came up with this maple ale.
Oh, nice.
And right now it's one of our most popular seasonals.
Really?
And this last fall, we release it every fall. This last fall, we at the brewery serve pancakes. And so if you ordered the beer, you could order pancakes with it.
Wow.
And it's just, I mean, it tastes like maple syrup in a glass, like in a beer form.
Nice. So it's pretty popular then.
Yeah. And I mean, it comes in at about 10% alcohol. So people love that too.
That helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely helps. So the Pilsner real quick, are Pilsners like lagers in the sense of like there's a lot smaller window when you're brewing them to like less room for error?
Yeah. It's a lighter beer. So when you brew something darker and heavier, there's so many complex flavors that, not to say that you can't find error, but I would say it's harder to detect errors.
Okay.
With a lager, especially like a Pilsner, since it's so light, so crisp and clean, that the smallest off flavor can be detected.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it's supposed to be light, and so so if you have something like diacetyl or you have like a cabbage flavor, like it's going to be easy to find. Mm-hmm. So you really have to make sure you dial it in and you get it right, because people will find it.
Yeah. Well, it's fantastic. I was looking over your shoulder at the board there. I'm like, man, I think I call these maintenance beers.
Mm-hmm.
In between IPAs, you have to, spread your day out. So maintenance beers, but this is a 5.5%. Alcohol.
Yeah. I mean,
so
it's
got some.
It's not too heavy.
No,
but it's not like super light.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's good, man.
Thank you.
This is really good. So, what makes Czech beer like unique?
Well, Czech is actually the first place that the Pilsner was started.
Gotcha.
The lager. Yeah, the log. So that actually, obviously lagers had been around. Germany had done lagers, but the Pilsner style of that really light beer, and it's actually the most popular beer. The Pilsner is the most popular beer in the world.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's I mean, when you think about the very large macro breweries,
right?
That's what they're brewing. That's what they're selling.
Yeah.
And so that's the number one beer in the whole world.
Makes sense now.
So when you think about it, that came from the Czech Republic. Besides that, I mean, there are some amber style lagers and stuff that are Czech, but really they're most known for the Pilsner.
Gotcha.
And so when people said, "Oh, I thought you're brewing Czech beers," I'm like, "There's not a lot." Like when you think of Germany, there's a lot more German style beers than there are like Czech beers. But,
gotcha.
But we just wanted to make sure like we had one solid Czech beer.
Right. Okay. So, and they drink a lot, right? Like per capita, like Czech.
Yeah. That's the thing.
I never
People
knew that.
Everybody says Germany drinks the most, and I'm like, not when you count per capita, like per person, because the Czech Republic's so much smaller, in population than Germany,
right?
But if you were to divide up how much beers drank per person, it's a lot more than what Germany drinks. So,
really?
Yeah.
That's like
number
a little
one
hidden secret.
Yeah, it's.
Nice.
When we went to visit, it's funny. Beer is cheaper than water.
Than water?
Yeah,
you could bottle.
You
water.
can get a bomber of beer cheaper than what you could get a bottle of water.
Wow.
And the reason is because I was like, that's weird. They have to go through so much like filtration and everything for the water. Where with beer, the filtration, I mean, you filter your water, but there's a lot more steps that they have to go through for the bottling water.
Okay.
Where beer, we boil it.
Oh, gotcha. That's the purification process.
Yeah. And I mean, and Czech Republic, they already known for having some of the best water in the world.
Right. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm learning all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. They're known for having the there's even like they bottle what they call mineral water.
Okay.
And in the U.S., we have a lot of restrictions against this, but people actually believe that the water is healing, and so they'll drink that. But yeah, I mean they were known for having some of the finest water, and that's one of the things for like a Pilsner. You need to have really great water because you'll be able to pick that up out of that beer as well.
Gotcha. And so how do you do that here? Like, how do you get
We
the
have
water?
a filtration. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
We don't, a lot of people ask us if we do RO. We don't have an RO system in place. But all of our water is filtered. So that's one of the things that we have to have in place in order for that beer to come out.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you were talking about early on, like you just kind of take risks, right? You take risks with your beer, and it just kind of, I like that because it's like, okay, we should do this, this, and this. Well, but why? Why do I have to do that? Why can't I just do what I want to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I grew up, I mean, my mom used to pull her hair out with me growing up. I am the type of person that I'm told like, this is the way things are. And I will test that. Like, I'll be like, I don't agree. And but I want to find it out myself.
Right. Not to agree, not to disagree, just to disagree, but because you're like, wait a minute.
Like I don't want to be told like this is the way things should be.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. And that's why like, I love sours and I'm willing to like try different stuff with the sours. And a lot of people, I don't want to say shy away from sours, but hesitant because of the risk of cross-contamination, which is a very big concern.
Why?
The bacteria. So when you're souring, you're adding a bacteria, lactobacillus.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
And what happens is if you allow that to get into your other beers, you now have sours in your other beers. So you could be having a sour stout, and so what we do is, I'm not going to say that there is no risk. There is. Just the fact that we do sours in the same space as our regular ales, there is a slight risk.
Okay.
But it's a risk that I'm willing to take. Right. I trust that my brewers do a great job of cleaning. Obviously, airborne is one thing that could happen. But I trust my brewers that they do a great job sanitation, that they do the best they can to, make sure that doesn't happen. But I love sours. My wife, that's like one of her favorite beers are sours. And
nice.
And so I want to make sure that we definitely have something that she likes to drink. And so it's one of those things like I'm just willing to try the new styles and go for it.
Yeah.
Like the Sahti. We don't have it on, but Sahti is one of the beers that we did. It's an old Finland style. And the story is that peasants used to brew it in Finland with juniper. They would take juniper branches, and they didn't have a way to hold back the grain to separate the liquid from the grain. So they used juniper branches. Well, I was like, I've never brewed this before, but let's go try it in our system. Yeah. And I went up north and got juniper branches.
Oh, wow.
And then I just brewed it. Yeah. It was like I was willing to just try that beer out.
Yeah.
I had never brewed it on small scale or anything. I just went for it.
Big time. Like in the big one.
Yeah. I was like, well, let's just try it. So,
nice.
I mean, that's part of taking risks is I'm not afraid to look and read. Obviously, I try to research as much as I can.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not afraid to, I'm not afraid to be like, look, this sounds delicious. Let's just go for it.
Yeah. And I've never heard of anybody putting branches into their beer.
Yeah. I mean,
awesome,
there's some farmhouse breweries that have done that, but yeah, we tried to brew it. We put the branches into the kettle and did exactly what they would do.
Yeah.
To try to replicate those flavors.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I read an article early on. There was an article. I can't remember what magazine it was, but the guy criticized like your beer, and then he came back in to kind of give it a second chance. Is that kind of the summary of the story?
Yeah,
I love the way you approached it, man. Tell me about that.
We started 2014.
Okay.
We had brewed some good beers and some not so good beers, and so a freelance writer for a local magazine came in. And basically said, like, in the article, he said that there were a couple good beers, but, we were brewing bad beer. And for me, like, I told him straight up, like, because nobody saw a reaction out of me. I think people were waiting to see, like, what I was going to say. And usually when somebody, like, attacks your business that way, it's like attacking your family. Of
Yeah.
course, I told him afterwards, I was like, of course I was pissed, but I let only my family see that, like inside my household,
right,
where it should be. And I didn't say anything. Besides that, my goal was to prove the article wrong. Like, so here I am. And it's like, okay, so how do I correct that? What do I need to do that's going to make that individual come back, try our beer and be like, look, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my goal. And, I didn't say that. It was just about coming in each day and just doing what I needed to do to improve. So yeah, he came back. He started writing with Draft Magazine, and they came in, or he came in, and he wanted to do a follow-up article and asked me, all the questions about what happened, why we changed. And so, he was drinking some of our beers and stuff. And that's what I told him. I said, look, it pissed me off, but at the end of the day, it's not like I'm going to sit there and justify, it wasn't his article. He wasn't the only one. I basically took that article. I went and talked to a bunch of people. I said, what are your thoughts on this? Nice. And, there were some close friends, and they're like, I agree. Your beers sometimes are hit or miss.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, so what do I need to do that corrects this? And so we just went forward with that, and then he came back in and he was impressed, and that was my goal. My goal is to brew quality beer. I'm willing to take risk, but one risk I don't want to do is put bad beer on. And I've, dumped beer before, and I'm willing to dump beer and lose the sales over the fact that I just want to make sure that every beer on tap is quality.
Yeah. Nice. And that's a great approach because, it's hard. Like you said, it's like you feel like it's a personal shot, right?
Yeah. I mean, my name's on the building,
Yeah, like literally your name is on the building. Yeah. Because but a lot of people would just take that and say, oh, screw you. I know what I'm doing. What the hell do you know about making beer? I'm going to do this my way. But I like the approach that you took because, you're like, hey, maybe it's not what I want it to be, but I'm going to make it even better.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's really the approach. And there's going to be a time where there's going to be enough breweries that people are going to choose the good ones and not good ones. And I mean, people already do choose that, but in Arizona, we're still so young, and there's going to be a point, and you don't want to be known for brewing bad beer.
Right.
And it irritated me that we had one article hanging over us, and I didn't want that to continue to happen.
Yeah.
I've seen other companies that sit there and they become defensive over, a negative article. And I didn't want to be that way. I wanted to really kind of take it as a learning opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're doing great, man, because this is fantastic. And so it's you and your dad, right? You and your dad, basically.
Yeah. I mean, so it's me and my dad, we started it.
Okay.
My mom, helps out. Like, she's as much part of it as we are.
Okay.
And then I have other family that's willing to come in and help. And that's what I love is it's not just me and my dad. It's everybody in our family.
Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes they'll sit at the bar and my bartenders will be like, somebody from your family's here. I've never met them. I've been working here for like 2 years and I've never seen them before.
Family?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a huge family. So it's funny. They're like, I just met somebody new. And you never know who's going to come in.
Yeah. So, and you were telling me that your dad, he's kind of a jack of all trades, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's actually his business cards say, oh, crap. What did I put on there? Oh, the nuts and bolts. That's what he started calling himself.
On his business card?
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Because, I mean, like, if anything needs to be fixed or repaired, he was in the Navy. He's a veteran, and he doesn't like to boast about it, but he was a veteran, and he was an electrician in the Navy.
Okay.
And so he, just about anything that needs to be done, he can do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, because I don't have those skills. I have all my degrees in business administration. So I have like the planning and the numbers and stuff. But man, if something's broken, don't look at me.
Right. Right. Well, that's great though, because you have to have both.
Yeah.
I think that would be a challenging part about opening up. I mean, any business, but like a brewery specifically, it's like, hey, I can make great beer. Let's open up a brewery. Well, it's a big part of it, but there's so much more that goes
there's a lot
around it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea what I was getting ourselves into. And I've realized now, like, I don't have time to brew beer, and it's not a bad thing, but like owners, if you start out young, yeah, you can brew the beer, but it's hard. Like if you ask anybody who's an owner, it's hard because you have to be doing the paperwork and staying on top of your taxes, and you're doing payroll and this, and then salespeople are coming at you, and you're trying to run a business. And when I was brewing, there was times where I had to get payroll done, but I was in the middle of like mashing in.
Ah, man.
And so it's like, okay, so you have to be able, we still have a lot of the creativity that goes on.
Yeah.
But we just have to have the right people who can execute the quality.
Yeah. Yeah. And that would be hard, I would think. Was that hard for you to step away from the brewing part of it?
I mean, yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I love how fun it is, but at the same time, I really want the business to do well. So I knew that I had to if I wanted the business to do well.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys were, I saw an article too, you were named the 2015 Brewery of the Year by, what was it, New York International Beer Competition?
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
How did that feel?
It was, it's definitely getting that type of stuff is fun. And for me, I'm like, that's great, but I want to keep going. Like, I love it. And I love getting accolades, and I love getting articles written up, and I love this. But for me, it's like, I want to, instead of sit on something and like hang it up on the wall and be like, look what I did.
Right.
Like, I would rather put it on the wall and go walk away and keep focusing on improving more.
Okay.
That's what I want. I would rather have the wall full of medals than just have a couple and be proud of the couple.
Yeah. So those are like more fuel than the end goal.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
We got this. Hey, we're good. Let's just coast from this point on.
Yeah. Like that's not my philosophy. It's like, that's great, but who cares? Like, let's keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels good. Like, it feels good, like, because you have to have those victories along the way to be like, all right, yeah, we're doing the right thing. But I don't know about you, but when I get things like that, and then it motivates me even more.
Yeah.
It's like, hell yeah, let's keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So the beer, I mean, that's what we're here.
Sorry
for.
about all the noises. We're getting ready to open.
Hey, no, that's all right. That's all right. I love it. I love the background noise, the commotion. I should have came in the middle of the day when I could hear everybody talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about some of your like flagships. So you have kind of some rotating ones that you try some different stuff, but you have some flagship beers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So our Bell Road IPA is probably our longest flagship. That's the one that you have in your hand right now.
Nice, man. My timing is great on this episode, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So the Bell Road IPA was probably one of our first really good IPAs that we made, and we've just held on to it. And so that was our first one. Then we came up with, we did a night where we did all these infusions of our Bell Road IPA, and we let people vote. And the Blood Orange ended up winning. So we kept that as a flagship. So now we have our Bell Road, we have our Blood Orange. Our Blood Orange is our top selling.
Okay.
Like through the kegs that we sell out to accounts, I think it's like 40% of the kegs are Blood Orange.
Oh wow. So this is a flagship at this point.
Yeah. The Blood Orange and the Bell Road are flagships.
Okay.
We have the Pilsner, which you had was a flagship.
Okay. Yep.
And then we have one sour as a flagship, our Guns and Gozes.
Guns and Gozes. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a Goza style, has a little bit of salt and a little bit of sourness to it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Perfect. So food too. You guys have food.
Yeah. We have food.
What's tell me about the food menu.
It's delicious. But one thing we strive for, I mean, like, we want the best beer. We also really want quality food. Our priority is the beer first.
Right.
And it's funny because we started getting recognition about our food before we did about the beers.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Because we had that article that our beers weren't good. And it's like, and I was like sitting there, and we didn't intentionally go out to try to make the best quality food. Like, we're not chefs. We have no background in that.
Right.
But I was like, I just thought, like, how would I want to operate? So like, one thing we did is we try to get the best beef as possible, the freshest beef, that we get it actually, literally the company is grinding it up and delivering it to us. And so it's extremely fresh beef.
Nice.
And we don't do anything crazy with it. We literally just salt, pepper it, and throw it on the grill.
Nice.
For our burgers. And then we use pretzel buns that are nicely warmed up. And then we serve everything. We just started doing house chips. So
really?
Yeah, they're potato chips.
Nice.
We literally take the potatoes, we slice them up, and then we fry them.
Okay.
So they're in-house. It's like there's nothing from the freezer.
Yeah.
We're using like freezer frozen French fries. And I was just like, who wants to see a bag come out of a freezer knowing that they're going to eat it? Like, it was like nobody wants to see that. People want to see stuff that's fresh and know that, like, look, it's in-house. And so that was one of our motivations to switch over from stuff that's from the freezer. So that's what we really try to do. I think we have great burgers, great brats. We use Shriners for our brats.
Who is that?
Shriners.
Shriners?
Yeah, they're local,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they package everything local and they smoke them for us. So then when we get them, we soak them in our beer. So, it's just a delicious beer brat.
Right. The buns are local too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Bakery.
Local bakery, local sausage. The beef, I don't know. They know where it comes from. I just haven't asked them where. But they grind it up locally for us. So we try as much as we can to get our produce and our everything we can locally because, we're a local business and people they're coming in to support us because they support local.
Right.
And it would be kind of silly for us to not support local through the stuff that we buy.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
It's like, okay, they're supporting local, but then we're supporting national brands.
Right.
No, we should be supporting local as well. So it's a domino effect.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's that it tastes better too. Obviously, all that fresh stuff is so much better than grabbing a big bin of like buns that look like crap.
Yeah,
tastes like crap.
It's a lot of times people will assume that local is better. That's not always the case, but when you seek for local that's fresh and that they have the quality behind it, then it's better. Right. And that's the thing is we want to not only just find local, but it has to be quality. Yeah. If it's local and there are some bakeries that we've sampled their stuff that are local and it's just not there. And for us, we aren't willing. We're glad that we have somebody local, but it's like if they had came in and we didn't, know about anything else, like we would have to go to something larger. And it's the same thing with produce. Like during summer, we can't get local produce because it doesn't grow. Oh, yeah. So we have to go to California to get our produce. Right. So it's stuff like that. That's why I say as much as we can. We don't promote that 100% or, we're trying the best we can do with whatever the situation is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys are doing great, man. I love this place. It's every time I've come here, the beer is great. I think I had brought one of the times I came here, but beer is always my number one priority.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's ours too. Yeah. I'm just glad that we have good food, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say this too. It's a simple menu. You're not doing anything crazy. Yeah. Right. But what you're doing is great. Yeah. Like it's like, hey, you know what? Let's focus on these things. This is what we're going to do, but let's make these things.
I look like a mad genius, but the truth was I was like, the reason the menu's simple, and when we first started, like our menu was stupid simple. We had like 6 items on the menu, but we just organically added and we did stuff that how is it going to be easy? And would people want to eat this with their beer? Yeah. Or would they want to eat this while they're drinking their beer? Yeah. And then that was just kind of our thing. And we're like, okay, well, let's do a burger. Let's do brats. Those shouldn't be too hard. Yeah. And then we just kind of developed it from there. Like I said, we have no cooking background. We had no commercial kitchen. Right. Like literally my mom worked so many hours that she never cooked. So it's not like we had like recipes we didn't have. And so it was it's just kind of cool that we were able to put something good together and we keep it simple. We try not to like go crazy. I love some of the breweries though. That I remember when I was at the Craft Brewers Conference, I was talking to a brewery and they do like Asian food with their beer. Oh, wow. And it's like, and they infuse the beer into the Asian food. Yeah. And I was like, that's smart. Like, I love the people who have that culinary background. Yeah. Because they can do all that creative stuff. But for us, I'm just keeping it simple and just stuff that, you would come into, a pub and you'd expect like, just some burgers and some brats. That's just really, I tried to dumb it down as much as I could. Right.
Right. Do you guys have any events? Like, I saw one article that you guys do a beer and wine. Or you did a beer
We did a beer and wine, yeah.
That's interesting. Like you paired the wine and the beer, like.
Yeah, I was reading up there. Yeah. I mean, somebody had wrote an article. That's where I got the idea. And they were putting beers side by side with wine and how they're similar. Yeah. And I found it really interesting. So I wanted to try it myself.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's do an event. And it was amazing because there's people who love wine who just don't like beer. And there's people who like beer who don't like wine.
Right.
And it's like, well, what if we put them side by side? And maybe like those people who have couples where one person likes wine, one person likes beer, have them come in and try to cross over,
right,
and get a chance to like see similarities in beers and stuff. And so, yeah, there were some beers. I mean, some were hard. It was like there was a Cabernet, and we put it next to our Russian Imperial. Like, yes, we were saying like the Cabernet is like the king of wine, and the Russian Imperial is like the king of beer, but they really don't have a ton of similarities in flavor.
No, they don't.
But we paired those up. But there were some like Argoza paired well with a wine. Started with a G. I don't remember the name of what the wine was.
More like a soury.
It was wine? It was like really like it was a white wine. There's some. What's that?
Gewürztraminer, nice.
Yeah. I had never had it before, but they actually were quite pretty similar.
Yeah.
And I was shocked by that.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting because you don't ever like find a liquid paired with a liquid.
Yeah.
It's a liquid with a solid, try this brat with this beer or this cheese with this wine, not like try.
Yeah.
I love
this wine with this beer. Yeah.
But you should add a third element, do like whiskey or something.
Yeah.
People be stumbling out the door.
Well, that was our thing is we did couples. It was for Valentine's Day. So hopefully couples would come in and, if one person in the couple was like, hey, I like wine, I like beer, we'd hopefully get them to come in and try, each other's passions.
And that's cool too, because you guys were able to make that pairing yourself. Like if I drink beer, my wife drinks wine, I'm like, I have no idea what beer you would like. But you guys kind of cut out that. It's like, hey, well, if you do like this beer or this wine, try this beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other way around too. Like if you like this beer, try this wine.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when we think, like a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, I don't like beer. Mm-hmm. I'm like, give me a chance. Like
that's
like,
a challenge.
Like they're thinking like macro brewery. I don't like beer. And it's like, well, have you ever had a sour? Wait, what's a sour beer? Mm-hmm. It's like, there, exactly. Like I've got your interest. Same thing with wine. Like I'm not a wine person, and trying those wines was huge to me. But when I think of wine, I just think of like Cabernets and like Chardonnays. Like that's it. Like I think of like reds and whites.
Yeah,
and that's all I think. But I didn't know that there's so much more to it.
Right. Well, what you have other events? Is there anything else you guys do?
Yeah. So we do events. We are not well planned out. I'll be honest. Like we don't sit at the beginning of the year and plan all our events. We really like plan them month by month.
Okay.
My staff hates me for that.
Right.
But I just have so much going on that I don't do a good job of planning. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should think about that. But right now, like we're focused on spring training, so we don't have any super like events going up. Yeah. Spring training is going on. Our beers, we have 5 beers on at Pure Sports Complex, and the airport and Terminal 2 just opened up. There's a Oso location.
Oh yeah,
just opened up last week, and our beer's on there. Ooh, so right now, like our beer is so tied up that my brewers are stressed, and I'm trying to make sure that all that stuff can go out. And then probably in April, we'll post on Facebook if you follow us. Yeah. We put all our events up there. So if you follow us, you'll get notified of events and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I like that though, because I think sometimes people would feel the pressure of like, man, we got to do this, we got to do that. Like, you know what? Let's keep operations rolling.
I'm literally month by month. Like, like I said, people don't like it, but I'm seriously like for March, I'm zoned in on spring training. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that this goes well and that the airport goes well. That not to say I don't have any events. Like we still got beer flowing here, we still got food, but I want to make sure that those people are taken care of. Yeah. And then once they are, I can start focusing more on doing fun events here.
Yeah. Yeah.
We always do parties. So like if anybody has a party, like we accommodate for that. So we love to have like retirements here and or birthday parties. We had some lady who did a birthday party the other day, and she was like, I want to like, put stuff up. And I was like, go for it. Like, nice. Like she had a party planner. And she paid for a party planner and set up this whole party, and we're like, "Yeah, go for it!" Like
that's cool, man.
Yeah, we're into that type of stuff. So if anybody has like a party that they want to host at the brewery, we're for it.
Yeah, And I think that's unique too, because I think most of the time people do have so many things planned out. It's like, oh, sorry, we can't do it that day. We have this going on. We can't do it that day. You keep it open. It's more about the customer. In a way. I'm not saying that the other ways aren't about the customer, but this is like, you want to have a party here? Yeah, come on, put streamers up.
I mean, seriously, she put some lights up, and it was like, it's definitely we care about the community. And I had talked to Steve McFate when we were opening, and I love Steve McFate, and I had asked him, like, you have all these guys who are online that are like the beer nerds, and and I'm like, what do you focus on? Like, what's your customer base? And he's like, to be honest, your biggest portion of your income at the brew pub is your neighborhood, is your local customers that are within your neighborhood. And I'd never thought about that. Like, I was so concerned about, this and this and this. And then I was
people,
like,
how do I attract people?
Yeah, how do I attract people? And, like Arizona Wilderness, they're attracting people from all over the country. And it's like, and I'm sitting there, I was like, like focusing on your neighborhood. Yeah. And so that's definitely one thing we try to do is we want to be a place that when people come out of town for family, they're like, let me show you my neighborhood brewery. Yeah. So people come in, this is the place that they want to come to. Yeah.
And you guys, I mean, you've got a pretty sweet location here too, because I mean, that way you've got Peoria Artisan, freaking, but there's not much around here. Like you guys
when we opened, there was nothing. Yeah. Like literally it was rock bottom. Yeah. But there was nothing. And then, there was frickin', but they're a different dynamic. Yeah. They're a production brewery that has a tap room. So it's different. There's no pubs besides rock bottom. And now Pure Artisan and Richter's opened up. And that's awesome because somebody joked once and said, I'm going to open a brewery across the street from you. And I told him, I said, do it. I was like, that is awesome. Do it. Because people, it's not like that. It's not like you have a gas station, another gas station opens up and the one's going to put the other out of business. Yeah. People jump from breweries. They go travel around to different breweries. So the more breweries there are, the more ability it is for people to want to go. So one person may know about the brewery across the street, but doesn't know about us. Yeah. But they'll find out because somebody will be like, oh, let's go over there.
Like, dude, there's another one across the street. Well, we got to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, who does 15 minutes, but we can get a beer in.
Who does that at a gas station? Like, oh, I just filled up, but hey, there's one across the street. Let's go fill up there too. Like that doesn't happen. So it's a different dynamic. And I encourage it. I love seeing the West Valley starting to get more breweries up here.
Yeah. Well, man, you guys are like the anchor point here. So I love it. And you're my closest brewery too. So
nice.
I need to make more trips down here. But so you guys are on 67th Avenue in Bell. Yep. You guys are on all social media, Instagram. How do you find you on Instagram?
Yeah. So we're on Instagram. It's just at Dubina Brewing. Okay. Facebook, just search Dubina Brewing. Yep. Those are probably the two best to follow us. We're on Twitter. But honestly, I probably just like and repost stuff. Yeah. I don't really I don't comment. I don't really reply to too many people. Yeah. So, if people use it, that's great. I will repost your stuff if you tag us, but I'm probably not going to go out of my way and start a Twitter fight. Right.
That's probably a good idea for more reasons than one. But
yeah. But so Facebook, I probably the most, and Instagram as well.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for coming in.
You guys got to come here, try all of the beers. I had 5, and every one of them, 5 small ones. Let me clarify. Yes. Yeah. I didn't have 5 16 ounces, no 80 ounces of beer here, but no, great place. Come get some food, get some beer. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for listening to the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, do me a favor, tell a friend. If you like it a lot, go to iTunes, give me a rating and review. Let's spread the word. In the next episode, I travel back to my homeland, Ohio, and I go to a brewery that is changing the way that small town Ohio is drinking their beer. You don't want to miss this one. In the meantime, always remember, stay awesome.